30. All right, our next session, led by the incomparable MacKenzie Morris. Over the last 15 plus years, MacKenzie Morris has done it all in corporate, a startup founder, a creative visionary, and a behind-the-scenes baddie for multiple multi-six and seven-figure brands. She's the founder of an internationally recognized product brand with product placed in 47 plus retailers around the world, a multi-time next-gen under 30 winner, and the strategic mind behind millions of views and hundreds of client transformations. Whether she's serving as a fractional COO and CMO, coaching one-on-one, or running her Hype membership, MacKenzie is on a mission to help entrepreneurs, creatives, and thought leaders become more magnetic, visible, and impossible to ignore. Please help me welcome to the stage the talking, the walking, the unapologetic branding czarina. Did I call you czarina?
Huh?
Branding czarina.
Sure.
Really good at what she does. MacKenzie Morris has
All right. Are these microphones on? Can I use these?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Maybe. All right. No? Hello? Hello?
Yep.
There we are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Emerge Empowered Conference. Have y'all had a great day so far? Y'all learned a lot? This talk's gonna be a lot different than everything y'all heard today, and that's okay. So, like he said, I'm a CMO, COO, business mentor, strategist, and speaker, and I help personal brands, service-driven entrepreneurs build incredible visibility, step into their confidence, and build brands that are impossible to ignore. But also, I'm a loud and loyal, husband-obsessed wife to my man over there. I am a toddler mom of 2 rowdy boys. I am the founder of an international wedding brand. I've got products all around the world. And I am the face behind the OKC Nightlife page. So, I am the walking and talking embodiment of personal branding. I am the proof that duality can exist. You can be serious and silly. You can be a boss in the boardroom and dance under the neon lights. And you can be a strategist or a little sparkly fairy floating through the forest at night. That's how I like to see myself. So y'all talked a lot about fear today, how to walk through failure, talked about confidence. We're gonna touch on a lot of that. We are living in a time where the lines between business and personal lives are blurred. And anyone can share anything at any time, and people are craving authenticity now more than ever. Your brand is so much more than just your Canva graphics, your logos, and your font. It is your essence, your energy, and your overall innate magic. I talk a lot about magic. It's how you make people feel. It's how you're willing to clearly show up fully, unfiltered, unedited, and unapologetically you. And yet most people are still trying to fit in, still muting themselves, and still hiding their edge, still trying to look legit and fake it till you make it, instead of realizing that everything you are now is enough. And that's why this conversation matters today. Because the future does not belong to the most polished, it belongs to the most genuine. Those who are brave enough to bring all of them to the table, the ones who turn their brand into a force, their presence into power, and their visibility into impact. So today, it's not just a keynote. This is a wake-up call, a rally cry, a full throttle permission slip for you to stop trying to blend in and start living out loud. So how many of you guys have ever felt like you were maybe trapped in a box? Like you had to hide some parts of you, change some parts of you, minimize. Anyone? Hands up? Yeah, right? We all have. I used to complain to one of my mentors that I felt like I was in a perpetual identity crisis all the time because I couldn't fit into a title. I couldn't fit into a box because there's so much more to me than that, especially because I work for myself. So you can literally make up your own title if you want. So let today be the day that you start believing that you do not have to choose. You can simply decide to be it all. You are your brand, and that is your superpower. So they gave me a little bit to talk to you guys, and I'm going to use every single second to pour into you. Here's what you can expect. I'm going to teach. I'm going to tell stories, some inspiring, some a little unexpected, but what is growth without chaos? And I'm going to challenge the way that you think about your brands, your visibility, and your identity, in your relationship with fear and yourself. By the end of this keynote, you're going to see yourself differently. You'll leave with a new lens on who you are, how you show up, and how to turn that into your most powerful asset. Because when your story and your strategy and your inner identity all align, that is when things start to move really fast. So I want to do this with you guys. So if something hits you and you're a little mind blown, maybe if you're vibing with what I'm saying, if you're picking up what I'm putting down, I want you all to give me a little head nod, maybe some snaps in the air, something to let me know you're engaged, okay? Can y'all do that for me? If yes, can y'all give me a little snap in the air? Snap, snap. Yes! Love it. So how many of you guys have heard of personal brand? Anyone? Yeah? So now how many of you guys believe that you have a personal brand? A lot less hands, right? And that's to be expected. But I'm here to tell you that whether you think you do or you think you don't, you do have a personal brand. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a salesperson, corporate leader, teacher, stay-at-home parent, you are constantly representing yourself to the world. Because your personal brand is how you show up. Your values and your story and your unique perspective. In my business, this is what I call your oneness factor. Your innate magic, your 1 in a billionness, your no one can do what you do better than you do because no one is you-ness. So before I go further, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, okay? Because the word brand gets thrown around a lot. And it's important to understand what it actually means. So, first off, we're going to talk about actual brand, right? This is the comprehensive perception a company and your customers have about a company, a product, or a service. And it extends beyond just the name and the logo, and it encompasses the entire experience that you offer. So your energy, your reputation, your overall vibe, right? Hey, okay, there's my cool picture. Okay. Next. Who comes to mind when you think of brands? Name some out. Beyonce. Who? Beyonce. Okay. Anyone else? Nike. Okay. An example I'm going to give is Coca-Cola. So obviously they sell soda, but what do they also sell? They sell happiness and togetherness. And whenever you think about Coca-Cola, what do you think of? Backyard barbecues, some pool parties with your besties, cozy date nights with the people that you love. And what does that bring? It sells happiness and togetherness through their product. And that is why their brand is so successful. So now we're going to talk brand identity, super simple. This is the actual aesthetics, the outward face of how your company looks. Your logos, your colors, the fonts, all that good stuff. So think McDonald's M, Apple, maybe the Barbie font. Next, we've talked personal brand a little bit, but just so you know, personal brand is your unique combination of the skills and the values and the personality and experience that you have to offer. That shapes how people perceive you. It's the version of your brand that is you, and not what you're pretending to be or what you're going to curate, but who you actually are. Again, calling in on that oneness factor. So if you had to name a personal brand, who would that be? Beyonce, maybe? Anyone else? Who? Michael Jordan, great one. My husband said Steph Curry. Okay, I'm going to talk about Taylor Swift. Her whole brand is built on authenticity and relatability. She talks about her personal experiences, her heartbreaks, and her joys and her struggles. And it deeply resonates with people, because she doesn't shy away from the deep and the intimate and the emotional and the hard, right? She steps right into it. And people see their lives in her music. And her ability to translate those personal stories into universally relatable experiences is why she is one of the most epic and iconic personal brands of all time. And that's coming from someone that is not a Swiftie at all. The last term we're going to talk about is brand strategy. So this is a long-term holistic plan that guides a company or brand's overall mission and impact of what they want to accomplish, while creating a connection with their audience. Basically, it's like your superhero plan to living your brand on purpose. So for personal brands, this is how you align your actions, your visibility, and everything you publish and create with who you are and your innate magic. Because when your values and identity and energy and content and offers and visuals all line up, that's when you stop being one voice in a void of a million. You become magnetic, and you become recognizable and remembered. And that's when you become the one in a million. And that's how you build a brand that's impossible to ignore. So growing up, I always had this feeling like I was a little bit different. Those of y'all who are dreamers and visionaries and always have ideas, y'all might resonate with this. Some of y'all, everyone else probably will. That passion deep in your body, you can feel it in your chest, and it almost kind of hurts a little bit. There's a drive that just people do not understand, a deep-seated belief that you are meant for more. Like you don't want to be ordinary because you know that you are destined for iconic and legendary greatness. Who else can relate to those feelings? If you can relate to that, say I. If y'all can relate to that, say I. Yes, step into that, y'all. So for me, that started when I was 12. When I started saying that I wanted to be as big as Coke. That was a really big and really scary statement. So a lot of people are shocked when they hear it because they can't comprehend that level of success and impact and purpose. And let me be clear that it's not about the money. I don't care about the money that Coke makes. It's about the impact that they have in their communities, the people they reach, and the lives that they change through their product. The happiness and togetherness and connection they bring. So for me, every single action I take is in alignment with this goal of being as big as Coke. And every decision I make gets stacked up against that idea. And if it's not going to get me closer, it's a no-go. I'm not going to do it. But I also want to be clear that my purpose on this planet is not to just build businesses and make a lot of money, but that's really fun and I love it. But my purpose is to inspire and empower other people by leading by example, by doing things scared, by embodying the thing. As the iconic Jamie Kern Lima once said in her book, Worthy, "You're not crazy, you're just first." And when I tell you, I have never felt more seen in my life than when I read that sentence, because I felt crazy a lot of times. And that's my purpose, going first, leading others by walking through fear myself, by being relentlessly vulnerable and fully authentic every single step of the way, by walking the walk that I talk, because I know that by doing that and stepping into that is what's going to inspire other people to believe that they can do it too. But having that kind of vision does not mean that the path is going to be easy or fearless. In fact, the bigger your dream is, the louder the fear becomes. How many of you guys have started building a personal brand? Maybe. Yes, I see some hands. Yes, good for you guys. So how many of y'all have come face to face with fear in the process, like David and Goliath style? right? All of us, every single one of us. The number one thing that keeps bold and brilliant and capable and talented and inspired people from hitting their next level and staying stuck where they are is not a lack of talent or a lack of strategy or knowledge. It is fear. This is not random. It is wired into us. Has anyone ever heard of Brené Brown? Some of you guys. She's a researcher and storyteller, and she has spent 20 years of her career studying courage, shame, vulnerability, and empathy. And Brené helps develop braver leaders and create courageous cultures all around the world. And she found that the biggest fears when building a personal brand are deeply tied to our anxieties with being seen, with being judged, being perceived, and being rejected. Many of these fears stem from the very deeply real risk that's involved with being authentic and putting yourself out there, with absolutely no control over the outcome of what happens after you put yourself out there, and you also have no control over how you are received. And that is really scary. This is one of the biggest things that I work through with my clients. If you've ever seen an energetic frequency chart, you know that fear and shame are at the very bottom of the list. They're the lowest frequency on there. They contract us and they silence us. They stop us from stepping into our greatest potential. But vulnerability and authenticity, on the other hand, those are right at the top, of course, right? And according to Brené Brown, that they build connection and trust and belonging. And if you can walk through vulnerability and be able to access courage, you will be able to then access authenticity. Let me say that again, another way. The more courage you have, the more authentic you will be able to be. And this is not just a feel-good idea. This is researched and studied, but it's also vital for your personal brand. And because your personal brand isn't just built on what you do, it's built around your identity. It is who you be. And if fear is calling the shots, you will always feel like you are playing a role, like you're acting and trying to curate a version of yourself that you think other people are going to like, instead of showing up who you are. But when we start walking through fear and leading with courage and vulnerability, you become magnetic. You create real connection, become deeply relatable and trustworthy. And not because you said the right thing, but because people believe you're genuine. And that's the difference between a brand that people scroll past and a brand that people will follow, buy from, remember, and not be able to ignore. I want to find a couple of volunteers. Okay, we're going to do an experiment, but the kicker is you are not allowed to know, or you're not going to know, what the experiment is until you get up here. So if you're down for that and you like some mystery, I want you to stand up. No one? Yes, good for you guys. Yes, super proud. So notice how there are not very many of you that stood up. You think that's the point? That was the experiment. Thank you guys for being so brave. But this was just to prove in real time that walking through fear is easier said than done. But now we are actually going to all do a group exercise. You'll stand up, everybody. I am going to read a list of fears. And if you have felt the fear, you are going to stay standing. And if you have not felt the fear, you are going to sit. And once you sit, you cannot stand back up. Cool? Okay. How many of you have felt a fear of failure? Fear of judgment? Fear of success? What if this works and everything changes? Will I lose people on the way? Yeah, if you felt the fear, you're going to stay standing. What about a fear of not being good enough? A fear of making the wrong decision? Or my biggest fear, of not stepping into your fullest potential? Look around. Almost all of us are standing. And that is what is beautiful about the human experience. No one is exempt from fear. So now, I want you to take both hands and place them over your hearts. You're going to close your eyes, and in a second, you're going to repeat after me. Do not rob yourself of this experience. Don't think you're above this. I want you to feel the power of the words I'm going to speak to you right now, and you're going to repeat. Repeat after me. I am legendary. There is no one like me. I am changing the world. I'm going to do it even if I'm scared. I am worthy of it all. You may be seated. Take a second to feel that. It might be uncomfortable for some of you guys, but I would challenge you to sit with that and figure out why that felt hard. We just spoke these words out loud. I am worthy of it all. But when you actually believe it, when you really start living like it, that's when everything's going to start to shift. Because showing up in your worth is not a mindset, it's a brand strategy. It's an energy shift. And showing up in the micro moments as well. It shows up in how you speak and how you sell and how you show up in the world. So I know we just got deep for a second, but I want to show you how this plays out in real life. Not just in business, not just in offers, but in the most unexpected moments. Moments that don't look like marketing, but are actually everything about identity, embodiment, and personal brand. So I'm going to take you back real quick to a night filled with neon and nostalgia, and one unforgettable moment that taught me everything about fear and courage and stepping into the spotlight. So, a few years ago, I was at a 2000s themed rave at Tower Theater in Oklahoma City. DJ is bumping my favorite middle school jams. So think, for me, that's Kiss Me Through the Phone, some Get Silly, some Low by Flo Rida, right? Bangers. And then she starts playing Pop Lock and Drop It. I turned to my friends and I said, girl, this is my jam. I love it. And the DJ started inviting people up on stage to dance. And of course, me being me, I was like, oh my God, I want to do it, but I am so scared. So by the time that I finally got the courage and walked through the fear to go and dance on stage, she changed the song. And you guys, that hit me differently that time. I stood there, surrounded by a bunch of people, dancing, laughing, jumping, pop lock, dropping it, having a great time. And I was just sitting there pouting. I was frozen and sitting there thinking to myself that I let fear steal that moment from me. Fear of judgment, fear of looking dumb, fear of thinking people thought I was ugly, fear of looking crazy. Steal that moment, that once in a lifetime opportunity for me to have a good time right away from me. And that level of disappointment and regret was so deep. Because I am generally a confident person. But that does not mean that I don't have hard days. But then something happened. Soldier boy, tell him. I was electrified. I had a redemption. So I tossed my phone to my friends and I sprinted up on stage and I cranked that Soldier Boy up in front of 500 people. Yes. See, they cheered here too. Okay. So I share this story for a reason, because it's not about dancing, okay? It's about making the choice to do the thing despite the fear. For a long time, I told people that the reason that I got up on stage were the feelings of regret and disappointment. Well, that's not true. I thought it was for a really long time. Those were the feelings that hurt me deep enough to make me choose to do something differently. Those were the things that made me say, enough was enough, and to take a different action. That was my why, y'all. So whenever people say to sell the why and not the thing, this is what they're talking about. Figure out what is underneath it all. What could they stand to lose if they don't do it? So I told you that that's not what got me up on stage, right? So what was? I was in the hallway, and I could see the DJ here, and then I could see the crowd. And I told myself that if you want the life that you say that you want to speak on stages, impact people, you want a brand as big as Coke, you have to be able to do this right now. That's embodiment. I was living and acting in alignment with the highest version of myself, my biggest mission, my brand strategy. I made a decision and took action by grounding myself with the version of me who was living the life that I wanted. That moment, I chose action over fear, alignment over hesitation, but the part that people don't talk about enough is that once you embody your truth, and once you start showing up fully and authentically and boldly, you unlock your next level of visibility. And visibility will always bring up a new layer of vulnerability that's required. Because now, it is not just your inner critic whispering in your ear, but now it's everyone else's opinions, projections, and expectations swirling around also. That's when the mental trash starts piling up. What if I post too much? I don't want people to get sick of me. What if I come off cringy or salesy and they don't think I'm genuine? What if no one buys and I look like a failure? These are the key reasons why so many people stay plateaued and don't blast through their next income ceiling or promotions. Here's a little secret, that most of the time, if something is not working, it is rarely a strategy issue. And that's coming from a strategist. It is almost always a confidence, identity, and visibility block. Not because they don't know what to say or what to post or they don't have the right strategy, but because their brain is a battlefield for fear and doubt, self-sabotage, and visibility resistance. And I know that feels really hard to believe, but I am telling you from experience that it's true. And when you can get past those mental blocks, that's when you skyrocket. That's why I've had clients take their self-run companies go from $6,000 to $40,000 in just weeks, from $2,500 to $8,600 in cash in 20 days. It's almost always an internal struggle. Showing up and selling online can feel really heavy. It can feel icky and feel like you're pushing something instead of sharing your heart and sharing something with the world. But here's a reframe that I want to give you. You are a mirror. And whenever people react strongly to you, when they judge and compare or unfollow or don't like or don't share or support you, they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to the part of themselves that you've triggered. And you are reflecting something that they wish they had. Thanks for the snaps. Something they're still rejecting or avoiding, or maybe wishing they could express for themselves. And that's not your burden to carry. Because if you have a message, if you have an idea to come to you, that tug in your chest to teach or to share or to launch something or to create, the idea did not show up by accident. It was an assignment. And you don't need to gatekeep it. You don't need to wait until perfect. You need to act on it because it's magic. There's a quote that I love from the book Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love. And she says that ideas are energetic life forms. And they come to you because they trust you to bring them to life. And if you don't act on them, they will go find someone else who will. You've probably seen this happen before. That idea that you had 5 years ago just pops up on shelves at Target. That business concept you were sitting on just shows up on your Instagram feed from someone else who simply just went for it. I know that feeling, that gut punch moment where you see your idea brought to life, just not by you. It happened to me. Remember that moment I told you earlier when I was young, when I was 12, and I started saying I wanted to be as big as Coke? I had a company called Granana Bites. And it was a food product that I made dehydrated banana chips and topped them with peanut butter and all these yummy little toppings. It was so cute and packaged in this crunchy little crinkly bag. As much as I would love to say I bought these items, I actually didn't. So I sat in my kitchen, I had dehydrators everywhere, and I was single-handedly dehydrating all these banana chips and homemaking peanut butter because I did not want Jif to get the royalties when I made it big. You know, typical, usual 12-year-old worries. I was obsessed, you guys. I created my logo online, I made samples, I had nutrition labels made after sending my product to a lab. I even submitted my concept to a business called Davidson Industries. And they help inventors manufacture and bring their products to market. And guess what? They picked mine, you guys. Out of thousands of submissions, they said yes to me. They believed in my product. But I had a problem. I was 12, and I needed money to move forward, money I didn't have. So I ran to my parents, and I was really excited and hopeful and ready, and of course they said no. They didn't see the vision. They didn't get it. They don't know how to run a food company. There's too much risk. And as a kid, that kind of broke me a little bit because I knew deep down that something real had just gotten away from me. Fast forward 8 years later, my mom calls me and she's kind of emotional and she's like, girl, I need to apologize. I said, Mom, what's going on? What do you mean? She said, she's in Whole Foods staring at a bag of banana chips with toppings. Right there on the shelves. She could grab them, take them, and pay money for them. And she said that she should have listened to me with Granana Bites, the fan that I said should plug into our iPhones, and all the other ideas I have. What can I say? I'm a visionary, an ideator, a dreamer. So that was the moment that it all clicked for me. That was the moment I made a vow to myself. Never again. Never again would I sit on an idea. Never again would I let fear or doubt or waiting for someone else's permission stop me from going after it. Done is better than perfect became my religion. Because I believe that every idea we get is a piece of magic. And we either use it or lose it. So that's why I move fast now. And that's why I teach my clients to move fast. Because clarity and inspiration do not last forever. Momentum is a muscle, and you have to learn how to use it. How are you feeling so far? Woo! All right. Let's get some energy up in here. How many of y'all know Cody Sanchez? No one? Y'all gotta look her up, y'all. She's incredible. She is a total rock star businesswoman who teaches people how to get rich by buying boring businesses. So think garbage trucks, HVAC companies, laundromats, that type of stuff. Things that people think are so unsexy, but like print money. And she and I are very alike in one specific way. She moves really fast. And Cody once shared a conversation that she had with one of her mentors, Bill Perkins, who wrote Die with Zero. And he told her that the only reason I am more successful than most people is because I move faster than them. By the time they've thought of the idea, scheduled the meeting, and maybe started working, I've already made 3 mistakes, learned from them, and found a better way to do it. And y'all, that hit me because that is exactly how I operate. Yes, I care about quality. Yes, I value integrity, and it has to make sense for your business. And of course, I want to sell things that are really valuable. But the people that are growing the fastest, they're not the ones who obsess over every detail. They're the ones who dream the idea, take messy action, collect the data, iterate in real time, and keep showing up and trying again. That's how we should be marketing. That's how we should be building our brands, our offers, and our momentum. So let me give you a really real example of this in my life. So at the end of August, I posted an Instagram story on my page, and one of my mentors commented, and she's like, girl, your next offer needs to be called Market Like a Psycho. And I was like, oh, that's fun and different. I love it. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it yet, so I just kind of sat with it. And then on August 31st, I got an idea. It came to me. What if I made a 30-day visibility challenge and called it Mark a Legacy? That was it. Just a spark, no plan, no outline, but I trusted the assignment. So by the next day, midday, September 1, it was live. Landing page is done, opt-in and purchase flow done, the graphics, the captions, offer is launched into the world, done. Was I nervous? 1,000%. 1,000%. I didn't fully know what the offer would be. But I'm finally at the point now where I've learned to trust myself. And I know deep in my bones that whatever I create, it will be valuable and will provide a transformation. Because value is not in the plan, it's in the execution. And if you can minimize the amount of time and effort it takes for someone to get their ideal result, that's what creates value. I'm going to say it again so you don't miss it, because this is one of the most important things I've ever learned from my mentors. If you can minimize the amount of time and effort it takes for someone to get their desired result, that creates value. For our statistical people, value equals the percent certainty that they're going to get what they want divided by the time and effort that it takes. So within a few hours of launching that offer, people were joining. Now I had proof of concept. This was something I could roll with, right? I had momentum, and nobody knew that I was building it in real time. And guess what? This is still going on. This is real-time examples, and people are thriving right now. Some of them have 30x their investment. They've launched offers. They've started showing up online. They found their voice again, and they're learning how to hold themselves accountable and how to keep the promises they make to themselves. All because I chose to work through inspired action and not think too much about it. I didn't wait to create a full 30-day plan. I didn't wait until I have a full deck of social posts. I just did it. And the offer, ain't that with magic? Because that's what happens when you stop waiting to be ready. And that's what happens when you let your idea lead the way and you trust yourself enough to go for it. I would have felt so much worse had I put a ton of effort and spent multiple days and hours planning and ideating only to launch and find no one wanted it. Trust me, I have learned that lesson. Now think about it. If it takes your competitors a week to do something and you can do it in one day, you don't have to be smarter, richer, better, just faster. That is going to give you an unfair advantage over 99% of them. Now listen. Yes, I was inspired, and yes, I trusted the idea, and yes, I took action, and yes, it worked. But I am not going to stand up here and sell something that has unrealistic expectations. After 15 years of being deep in the entrepreneurial grind, I have learned that just because you're your truest self, you're aligned and taking bold action, doesn't mean it's always going to work. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And it doesn't mean that if you just trust the universe, everything's going to magically fall into place. That is the harsh reality that no one talks about. You see it all over online. Entrepreneurship is so glamorized. It's free and fun and sexy, and you can make your own schedule, and it's great. But I am here to tell you that sometimes you will give it every single thing you've got, and you will still stay where you are. Sometimes you're going to do all the right things, and it's still going to flop. And I know that kind of failure and pain that comes with it intimately. Let me tell you about the rumble. I'm going to take it back a few years to one of my biggest turning points in my entire life. It was such a roller coaster of massive highs and the lowest lows. So at that time, I was running my wedding company, MacKenzie, And I was selling getting ready robes and PJs to brides and their bridal parties. And then I was selling those products to retailers all around the world. We also offered proposal gifts for the girls and dress and bouquet preservation services. The concept didn't exist here in Oklahoma, so I really pioneered that, and that was super cool as an all-inclusive giftery. However, marketing pajamas as wedding apparel did exist on Amazon and Etsy. And y'all, that fight for sales was brutal. It was a race to the bottom. Everyone was selling the exact same products, buying from the exact same manufacturers in Beijing. Shout out Nancy, and trying to undercut each other by $1 and then another $1. I was tired of chasing trends and ads. Like Mr. Wonderful would say, they crushed me like the cockroach that I was. But instead of quitting, I sat with the problem and I tried to make my own product. So I knew what I was going to do. I created the Romblay. So after years of developing, getting a registered trademark, hiring a seamstress and fashion designers and sourcing fabrics, I finally had my product. I put in the work. I spent thousands of dollars and took massive risks and spent years working to get it right. And then I did. I had my final prototype. And it was exactly what I dreamed of. So I planned the launch. I booked an Airbnb with one of my friends. And I planned out 17 weeks of launches. Campaigns, emails, ads, all of it. Thousands of people were on my wait list. This was my moment. And I remember I was sitting in the bed crying to her, saying, I feel like I have been climbing this mountain forever. I feel like my whole career is surmounting to this moment, this launch. I'm finally about to reach to the top. But what if I get there and there's no view? What if I get there and no one buys? You guys, that is exactly what happened. Years down the drain. Eventually I got some purchases, but that grief, it was heavy. The mental trash was piling up. You're not cut out for this. You were never really good enough. Why did you think you could do this? And for a little while, I did believe them. And I spent months doing absolutely nothing, just trying to get through the day, trying to cope and heal, trying to make sense of how something I believed in so much, with all the facts and everything, why it didn't work. But that didn't change the reality. It wasn't working because I was out of alignment. So then I had one night where I was in my shower, I was crying to myself, and I said out loud, why not me? When is it my turn? And I thought to Tony Robbins and Mel Robbins and Jamie Kern-Lima and all the people that have used their voice and their message and their journey to change the world. And I realized they had hit their rock bottoms, and I had hit mine. So I made the hardest decision of my life to shut it down, shut down the whole wedding company. And then the wildest thing happened next. Once I announced and offered my newest things, I doubled my total yearly revenue in just 60 days. It didn't happen because I had products. It happened because I got real with myself and stopped denying what I really wanted. Stopped hiding behind ideas and started shining the spotlight on me. I started doing what I wanted to do, which was inspire and empower other people by leading by example and sharing all the parts of my journey. And now I'm standing right here with you guys, getting to do exactly that. This moment right now is full circle, and it is proof that alignment creates magic. And that your story and your energy and your reputation and your intuition, that is the real strategy. And it's not just powerful, it's profitable. Because there's someone out there right now waiting for you. So I want you guys all to stand up real quick for one more time. They're going to put something right here on the slide for y'all to grab. It is my Fearless Action Blueprint. This can help you move through those fears and really start taking action on what you want. Also, if y'all want to help me with my mission to being as big as Coke and getting to impact people, I do have a keynote feedback form. So now, I want you to raise your hands up Wiggle your fingers and repeat after me. I am legendary. There is no one like me. I'm going to do it even if I'm scared. And I am worthy of it all. You guys are absolutely incredible. By being here today, you are showing that you are the leaders of today. And there are so many people in here that are changing the world and will change the world with what you have. So thank you for choosing yourself and for being here today. And I want to give one shout out to Presley Bacon, she is 15, and she chose to be here today to surround herself with other leaders. So thank you guys for being here. She does custom pressed-on nails, and I'm so proud of her for taking the chance to go for her dream. Thank you.
Thank you.